I think, if we can later on map out for maybe someone who's feeling burnt out or someone who's trying to lose some weight, how they would go about setting a combined goal. But just on the process-oriented goal bit, from my understanding of it, and also just on a logic basis, it seems like setting a process-oriented goal is going to make it more likely that you stick to it, and it's going to give you a better sense of well-being, because you afford yourself many more opportunities to feel good. Like maybe it's not more complex than that, right?
Taking something off the box, right?
Yeah, because it's also like, especially for busy people, with like so many responsibilities, the thought of some big performance goal or some big outcome goal on a moderate or shitty day might be like, oh my goodness, like I have to go and do this thing on this date that's like so overwhelming right now. But if all I need to focus on today is I just got to show up to the gym.
Yeah.
I just have to like do something. Like I have this program I'm following. I just need to do that. That's all.
Yeah.
And then I'm done for the day. And I think you award yourself like a well-earned dopamine hit that keeps your goal setting and your motivation moving in the right direction. Because you're consistently reminding yourself that, hey, you did it, well done. Hey, you did it, well done. Hey, you did it, well done. What do you think about that?
The kind of momentum they described is definitely super important. I also think it's quite important at the end of a certain, I don't know, call it a microcycle, if you will, end of the week, end of the fortnight, end of the month. It's quite important to review that and look at how well you carried out those goals. So if your process goal was to, for example, show up at the gym 3 times a week, and if you showed up and did extremely little, that should kind of show up in your review. Like what did I do well, what I didn't do well, and then what I'm going to improve on the next time. Your review isn't a time to beat yourself down what happened in the last microcycle, right? It's to calibrate.
It's to be specific and to add nuance that, well done, being consistent. Now we need to work on intensity or effort.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you first set goals, you are really shooting quite blindly. It's very hard to know that if we are starting a new pursuit, we have no idea what works out for us. So we just have to start, right? We have to choose something that we think we can follow for the next 7 days. And then we live out the next 7 days. And we see whether, how it plays out. And at the end of the 7 days, we can tell like, okay, this thing went well. This thing was a little bit too ambitious. This is how I can calibrate it. And over time, maybe that can help you move your goalposts for your outcome goals as well. Like if you initially thought that I want to lose like 15 kg, for example, and then through the weeks as you're living out your process and your performance goals, you find that you're actually not okay with the sacrifice for 15 kg. And you go like, actually for what you're willing to do, you can lose like 7.5, Are you okay with that outcome? And if you're okay, then you have effectively shifted that goalpost.
And I think this process of shifting the goalposts in the busy lives that we lead is so important. And it's one of the hardest things to communicate to people who haven't worked with a coach. And I'm not talking about like working with a trainer. I'm talking about working with a coach who can help you through the goal setting and habit building and the accountability stuff and this nuance that we're talking about, which is, we can be clear that you have been very consistent and that's great, but let's also be clear about where we are leaving stuff on the table. And then I need to have a conversation with you. Are you okay leaving that on the table? Because it's your choice, not mine. But if we don't have this conversation about it, there's so much room for frustration when you don't meet your goals or just day to day because you feel lesser than. And so I know you do some work with high performance athletes and also high performance executives on a coaching level. You also do some health coaching. Is it as simple as if you see this client every couple of weeks? Is it as simple as you asking those questions of how do you think this week went? Or how deep does that process go? If you can just use an example of someone that you work with.
I guess, earlier on you mentioned that it's really important that the answer comes from them, right? And that's a huge part of that review process.
The same when dealing with your wife, right? It has to be their idea, right? Really? Just kidding. I'm going to get so much trouble for that.
Yes. Anyway, it's quite important that ideas should come from them, not because we can hold them hostage for whatever if they fail or anything, but it gives them the agency to to decide their own path and chart their own journey. Yeah, I think that's a guiding principle for me. Be client-led, student-led, athlete-led, whatever you want to call it. As a coach, we're really there to facilitate and help them find the right vocabulary to gain that insight, you know? Yeah. And with that insight, they can create their systems and their structures that can help them develop new habits.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the insights is that a lot of times, almost always, the insights come from the person themselves. The trouble is, when we're so busy, we don't sit down and think about it and write about it to a point where we get to that level of understanding ourselves. And then we end up frustrated, we end up giving up on things prematurely, or not adjusting our goals when we should, not accommodating to all the other chaos that's going on in life. But if we were to dumb that down, because like, as I think about it more, it probably is very individual and context specific what you would challenge a coaching client with. But is there, if someone wants to just do this on their own day to day with a habit that they're struggling to build for a performance goal that they have, like maybe I want to lose 5 kilos. Every 2 weeks, every week or two, what is a good question that they can ask themselves to keep themselves honest?
I think 3 questions. This is something that I get my staff to do all the time, and this is something that we also get our clients to do, and something I do myself a lot also, right? 3 questions like, what have I done well? What can I do better? And what is one thing I'll do now? So out of all of that, just one thing, you know, for the next 7 days or the next 14 days, like create parameters around it, make it specific enough that you can actually act on. Yeah,
I think what's super good about that is they're not intimidating questions.
No.
And they don't require a lot of time. Right? Because you're doing it at the end of the week.
It depends on how much you ruminate. You could take up a lot of time, yeah. But it shouldn't. I mean, we want self-awareness and not attention that turns into rumination, right? Yeah. I think it's also worth asking, when you're thinking about process goals and you're setting them, it's worth asking, like, because when we talk about it when we get like intellectual about it or academic about it, it's quite fun to look at the different definitions, at least to us. But if you're using it on a very practical level and you want to set process goals, just ask what's in your control. You know, like what is one thing that I can control, and that can become your process goal.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it usually ends up being something small that you can do consistently on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the small things, like just on this example of someone trying to lose weight, I can control waking up 10 minutes earlier and walking an extra 2,000 steps.
And that's subjective, right? Maybe somebody else cannot. They really cannot control waking up 10 minutes earlier. So, okay, what can you control then? If you cannot control 10 minutes, what can you control? Yeah, there must be something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on to the next thing, can we give this a go of, let's just say like a simple example of someone who is, you know, on a path to get healthier, and they have about 10 kilos. That's the number they have in their mind that they want to lose. It's kind of a general just feeling that they have, it's time to like get my shit together. How would we go about walking that person through setting a combined goal? Right? So the person's trying to lose about 10 kilos, but it's really, they just want to get healthier and their pants are kind of tight. What is a simple process that we can help people sort of just plug and play so they can develop goals that are more likely to help them achieve the thing that they want to achieve?
So we've spoken to this person, we kind of know why they want to lose 10 kg, right? We know this person's...
I mean, we can make it up. We can make it up because that part is important, right? So it would start with a question, with a series of questions about why are you actually doing this? So what are some common ones that you've come across?
People tend to say like they want to live a more healthy life so they can have a more productive time with their family, with their kids. I think that's a very common one.
Yeah, let's go with that one. Very, very applicable one to a lot of people.
Right. So if your outcome goals are achievement and identity based, I will start there. You want to be the kind of parent that takes care of yourself so you can live well for your kids, for yourself and for your kids, right? So this is your outcome goal.
So top of sheet of paper, they can actually just write. Right.
And your outcome goals must be consistent with your values, which is what we just talked about. And then we talk about your tasks for the following week, right? Like let's say you start working with a coach or a personal trainer or something like that, and you have work to do the next 7 days, and the work that you put out would be your process goals. So maybe 2 sessions with a trainer, and your sessions must be like a RPE, I don't know, 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Which for everyone that doesn't know what that is, it's how hard you push.
How hard you push in your session. Your RP is your rate of perceived exertion or effort, right? And then maybe one long walk. your own, right? And
you can define that by whatever your fitness level is. Yeah.
And I typically also ask my clients, like, before I give them the task list, I typically ask them, what have your habits been like the last 30 days? Because
you want to calibrate them close enough so it's achievable.
Yeah, if you are sleeping 5 hours, you're not going to get 7 hours.
Yep.
Yeah. So if this guy is sleeping like 5 hours a night, okay, for the next 7 days, let's just stick to at least 5 hours a night. We don't even increase, like that's your bare minimum.
Yep.
What's your hydration like? Okay, maybe 3 liters of water a day. And something that I learned from you actually way back is just eat more green vegetables. For your first diet task is to just eat more green vegetables, right? It's all very simple. You're not taking away their fried food. You're not taking away their sugary drinks. You're not taking away their alcohol. Just these simple tasks.
Nice.
Then you're not even talking about performance goals here, right? Because there's nothing to perform. Yeah. It's just about getting the journey started. And after 7 days, we do an adherence check. And the adherence check can be I think we have to be careful about how we do it. We don't want to make them feel like they're getting
audited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I feel like that's maybe one gap that I have. I might make my clients feel like, they might feel, oh, Jin is asking me whether I've done all these things. But all my clients are pretty solid. They do most of their homework. Yeah, so you do an adherence check. And in the past, I used to think you have to hit 100% before I give you the next task list, right? Because I feel like if the tasks are simple enough and it's already calibrated, then let's just hit 100%. But more as people get busier, especially I don't know what it is about working life these days, but people are just getting super busy at work and at home. I've moderated that to 80%. We can get 80. There are some non-negotiables. So your workouts at RPE 7.5 is a non-negotiable. I think if you have 3 workouts and one of them is a RPE 6, okay, fine, you can skip that one. But your 2 at 7.5, you gotta hit that one. There are some a veto items that you have to hit.
That would be specific to that client as well.
Yeah. And some things that because of life you really have no choice, like sleep 5 hours because you have less than that because you have a client event or whatever, then okay no choice lah. Yeah, so you build on your task list, it gets more difficult, and over time you can start having performance goals, right? Because if this client has never worked out before and they're just starting how to squat, bench and deadlift, and they're just starting, they're not even running, they're just having long walks. And they build that up into, now they're doing barbell squats, barbell deadlifts and all those things. You can start having performance goals of hitting PRs and running faster.
Which adds a really nice flavor to it, right? So that starts as, okay, I just need to be consistent, and you start feeling good because you're achieving those things.
Yeah.
And then a good coach would start being able to throw performance goals at you. Yeah. And I think we're ready to set something like this. Let's try and add however many.
And usually at first they're like, hey, you add weight on the bar, then, but before long they're asking to add weight, Yeah. So it's pretty cool to see them get empowered that way. And
well, I think the empowered side of it is so important, because then it starts to shift to something that's truly identity based, where it's no longer I don't really want to, but I have to. It shifts from that to I really want to. Yeah. It really means something to me when I can go.
It's a mind shift, right? Have you read that book by Barbara Oakley, Mind Shift? It's a term that she coined. It's what it means is a profound transformative experience that's acquired through learning. So not like a dramatic life changing event, but something quietly introduces shifts to your life, so new possibilities of identity become possible to you. Yeah.
That's such a nice way of phrasing it, because that's what we're trying to go for, right? I think that's what a lot of doctors are trying to do as well. It's just that they're so busy and they're trying to do it through the consults that they can have. Yeah. That's why I think, an integrated approach where we have exercise specialists if you need it, and we have coaches if you need it, we have the medical expertise if you need it, we have whatever supplementary adjunct services if you need them, and maybe we can develop an ecosystem that is unique to you to help you get to this point.